here with Representative Pam Snyder of Pennsylvania's 50th District. She's currently up for re-election in this 2020 election cycle. So Pam, you've been serving since 2013 for your district. What would you say has been the biggest accomplishment of your time in office?
Well, you know, I have had quite a few things that I'm very proud of, but one of the laws that I was able to get passed and signed is to allow corrections officers in our state corrections facilities to be able to have pepper spray on themselves at all times. There was a lot of staff assaults in SCI Fayette. I have two prisons in the 50th District, SCI Fayette and SCI Green, and there were a lot of staff assaults at SCI Fayette a few years ago. And when I went in and toured the prison and talked to the corrections officers, you know, they told me how critical it was for their well-being. So we were able to get that bill through the House, through the Senate, and on the governor's desk for signature in record-breaking time. And I have corrections officers all the time come up to me and tell me how much it's helped them, whether or not it's to break up inmate attacking inmate or inmate attacking guard. So that is a piece of legislation that was signed into law that I'm very proud of. In my first term, I was able to get a bill signed into law after Hatfield Power Plant closed regarding the Clean Power Plan. And it enabled that the General Assembly had to have a voice in what the DEP would submit to the federal government in regard to the Clean Power Plan, so that the DEP just couldn't put forth their thoughts to the feds without General Assembly approval.
So during this election cycle, obviously COVID has been one of the biggest problems throughout not just this region, but America and the entirety of the world. Back in May, you had been a little bit critical of Governor Wolf on the way he had handled it. He had not allowed Greene County, Washington County, and some of the surrounding counties to open up whenever you thought it was appropriate. So with talking about, because being that he's a Democratic governor, you're a Democratic representative, what was some of the differences that you had with the way Governor Wolf had handled COVID?
Well, I thought the way the governor did the stay-at-home order and the shutdown was the right way to do it. If you remember, he did it county by county, because every county is different. And I felt when we were reopening, he should have done it the same way. And instead, he decided to do it by region. Well, our region was lumped in with a lot of other counties in the surrounding area and Allegheny County. Well, Greene County is a lot different than Allegheny County. Our small businesses are a lot different than businesses in Allegheny County. So I really thought that it was important that he do it county by county rather than by region. So that's why on a lot of the bills that, on the reopening bills, you know, I voted to allow the reopening and to allow small businesses to be able to operate and follow the CDC guidelines. You know, let's make no mistake about it. In fact, today, we've had the highest number of cases since it began here in Pennsylvania, even back whenever we had the biggest surge. So you're right, this is a global pandemic. There's no playbook for it. Nobody really had a blueprint of what to do here. But yet I do feel the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is unique. You have Philadelphia, you have Pittsburgh, and you have a lot in between. So I thought it should be county by county.
Being that obviously Greene County is a much more rural area, one of the biggest pieces of legislation you've been working on in your time in office, you've been trying to get high-speed internet access to people not only just of Greene County, but all across the state of Pennsylvania and people in a lot of rural counties. How has that bill progressed, and what have you done, what have you seen out of working on trying to get everyone the internet access? How has that gone thus far?
Well, 3 years ago, you know, this was brought to my attention, and I partnered with then State Representative, Republican State Representative Kristen Phillips Hill. She's now a state senator. So she and I have been working hand in hand on this issue for several years. And the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau and the Pennsylvania Grange have been working with us because they know how important this is for rural Pennsylvania and rural America. You know, this is a national issue. So we've had several pieces of legislation passed and been able to get regulations in place that would allow for broadband to be able to come to communities a little more easily. I have a bill right now that I think is a really critical bill, and it would open the Municipal Authority Act of 1945 to allow broadband to be a part of the Municipal Authority Act. And that basically means right now, you know, we have water authorities and sewage authorities that are established by your municipality. So this would allow broadband to be a part of that too. So if you had an area where a company doesn't feel they can financially go into it and string fiber and be able to provide broadband, the municipality could decide to do it on their own. You know, back when Kristen and I started this charge, you know, we talked about trying to bring broadband to everyone. We didn't say we were going to get you broadband. We said we were going to try to find a path forward. And that's what we've done. We've worked with the PUC, we've worked with the administration, we've passed legislation, and we continue to do that. We formed the Broadband Caucus, which is a bicameral, bipartisan caucus in the General Assembly to bring light on this issue. And really, what's happened through this pandemic is everything we've been saying for the last 3 years has been proven absolutely accurate. Because through this pandemic, it's been extremely important for college students, for high school students, for elementary students to be able to get online to do their homework. And in so many areas, they can't. And it's important for telemedicine. When we were at that stay-at-home order, a lot of elderly people particularly, and a lot of folks just in general, they didn't want to have to go to their doctor's office if they were having something non-COVID related. So, this would have allowed for them to be able to get online, to have their doctor talk to them, to be able to interact, so they wouldn't have to go to the doctor's office. And, most importantly, I think what we have found through this global pandemic is, our food supply chain is extremely important. Well, guess what? Our agricultural community and our small farms and our family farms, they can't survive in today's world if they can't be connected to the internet. The equipment they use, what they need to do to be successful on their farms is so important. So I think the pandemic has truly made all of our colleagues in Harrisburg, and you can see it on the federal level too. Everyone now recognizes broadband isn't a luxury. Broadband is a necessity in the year 2021.
You mentioned just the farmers and how important we're all seeing that their industry is. You've taken a lot of steps to help protect Pennsylvania's farmers, the people in your district. What type of steps have you exactly taken to kind of improve their lives, help them out, and what steps do you plan on taking in the future to protect
Absolutely.
them?
I sit on the Agricultural Committee, and I was part of I was a prime sponsor and part of the first Pennsylvania Farm Bill to pass. And it was the first one in Pennsylvania's history last year. And I was the prime sponsor of the piece of legislation that comprised that farm bill for meat processing plants. So it would allow for someone who's interested in perhaps, you raise your animals and they have to have that USDA stamp for you to be able to sell them in a lot of marketplaces. So this would allow for you to be able to have a meat processing plant and be able to get that USDA seal of approval so that your product could be taken to larger supermarkets. And also in the Farm Bill was a dairy farm grant. And I was able to secure one of the first grants for that program for Jackson Farms in Fayette County, which sits in the 50th District. And Jackson Farms has an amazing operation over there. They have a dairy farm, so it's milk, it's ice cream, and now they're going to use that grant to process cheese. So they'll be able to supply cheese here to local consumers. The Farm Bill was really instrumental in Pennsylvania, being that it was the first one passed. I'm very proud that I got the endorsement of the political arm of the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau, which is called Farmer. I received that endorsement for my re-election. I'm very proud about that. And I will continue to work with the ag community and do everything I can to make sure that our family farms are sustainable. My husband and I live on his family's farm, and it's been in my husband's family for 102 years. So this is near and dear to my heart.
You've been representing Greene County since, as I said, 2013 earlier. You are in an area that is increasingly in presidential elections voted red since 2004. It's been voting Republican, and the margin of those votes have gotten bigger and bigger each election. What is it about you as a Democrat that allows you to keep winning your elections in this area, even though the district in this area that you're representing seems to be leaning more and more Republican every election?
Well, I believe that people recognize, I have a record, and I'm proud of my record, and anyone can look at my record. I vote my district. I represent the people here. The folks in the 50th District they have honored me by allowing me to be their representative and their voice in Harrisburg, and I take that very seriously. And, I always make sure that I'm taking care of the people here first and foremost. And I leave the politics outside the door. I don't care if the Republican leadership is mad at me, and believe me, they come to me I work with them. I don't care if the governor's mad at me. I don't care if my leadership's mad at me. I care about what the people in my district need and what I know I need to do to make sure that we're making the 50th District as strong as we can. So I hope that that's what people see when they look at Pam Snyder. Plus, the other thing, You know, I think anyone can see when you turn on your TV right now. I think everybody's totally disgusted with politics. It's all negative, negative, negative. You look at my track record. This is my third contested election in a 5-year time span with 2-year terms. So in the last 5 years, I've been in 3 contested elections. And in every one of those elections, my opponent has done nothing but attack me and attack my family and lie about me and my family. I have always continued to stay positive. I have never attacked them back. And I think that's important. I want my kids and my grandkids to be proud of what I do in my public service sector. I want everyone's kids and grandkids to be proud of what I've done. That's important to me. And I think we need to change the way we do our campaigning because we are not setting a good example for the next generation.
So you're currently, as you mentioned, you're in a contested election right now. You're running against Larry Yost. What would you say separates you from Larry Yost? What would you guys say is the biggest difference between you two in terms of your campaign and your ideology?
Well, first of all, my campaign's a positive campaign. His is a negative campaign. My campaign has been fueled by local donations and by people right here in the district. His has been financed by a dark money group from Harrisburg and Philadelphia. So I think that sets us apart first. The other thing I think that really sets us apart is experience. You know, I have the experience to do what the people of the 50th district need. I have the seniority, the relationships, and I think that's important. You know, when someone comes to my office, it doesn't matter if it's a state issue, a county issue, a federal issue. You know, I worked 8 years for a United States congressman. I served as county commissioner for 9 years, and I've been a state rep for 8 years. And I was a county employee before that and worked in the private sector for a few years. So I have experience on all levels of government. So if someone comes to me for help, even if it's not a state issue, I know where to direct them. I know how to advise them. I know how to try to get them the help they need. And that's important. In government service and public service, relationships are very important. And you know, I have those relationships with people, so I'm able to cut through the bureaucratic red tape and get things done for folks.
If you win re-election, this is going to be our final question. If you were to win this re-election, if you could accomplish one thing in your next term, what would you want that to be?
Well, I would like to get broadband for all, but I also want to continue to push the bill that I have that I partnered with 2 Republican women in this session with. It was House Bill 1200, and what it would do, it would eliminate your school property taxes on your homestead only, so that it would allow our senior citizens to not be threatened by losing their homes, and it would incentivize young people to be able to move here and build homes here. And the revenue for our school district, because I'm a big proponent of public education, huge, so I don't want to do anything that would take away from them, but we would make up that revenue through a small increase in the personal income tax. And I think that's much more fair and much more stable, and it would allow for our tax base to grow here in the 50th district and all across the Commonwealth.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you to Representative Snyder for sitting down with us and talking to us about her upcoming election. Best of luck here on November 3rd in the final days of your campaign. Thank you for joining us here at WCTV.
Thank you.